where my over the Cahillagus Tommy Fuyak as an Daesh Lord Turn Aber Topic Talk Shaw Anocht, August La, August Iha, Fear Topic Talk, Aisha, the Locked Task, August Currum, Balcha, Rivna, Groupian Shaw, the Dinis and Gallery, and elsewhere in Leinster House, and extend solidarity to all travellers on this historic day. It's their day, and a momentous step forward for equality. And somewhere outside, and I'm sure we all regret that, and perhaps if the Taoiseach's schedule allows, he could address them. I understand there are 70 members of the travelling community over in Boswell's, and some of us could go and give them some sense of what has happened here this evening. And I want, on behalf of Sinn Féin, to very much welcome and to thank the Taoiseach for recognising traveller ethnicity this evening. And I want to pay tribute in particular to those who have advocated on behalf of the traveller community, from within the traveller community itself, but also from the settled community, who have done so much to advance this cause. And some have done it for decades, and we are very thankful to them for that. We need also to be mindful of those who have suffered because they were travellers, and I particularly want to remember the Lynch, Connors and Gilbert families who died in Glenamuck. And I want to pay tribute to the women of the traveller community. Like their sisters in the disadvantaged sections of the settled community, the women of the traveller community have been the great heroines and the champions who have kept their families going through thick and thin. I also want to acknowledge the work of the Minister of State, David Stanton, Moihu, Ira, Stanton, Tamwich, Wake, Ditsa, Basta. I commend the work of the Justice Committees, both in the last Dáil, who adopted, chaired by Chuck Stanton, who adopted a report by Patrick McLaughlin, recommending the recognition of traveller ethnicity, and also the current committee chaired by Queebeen O'Quillan. And today's decision to recognise traveller ethnicity is the right thing to do. And the Taoiseach's statement finally brings the Irish state into lines with existing recognition in place in the north, as well as in England, Scotland and Wales. And the distinct culture, the traditions, the ethnicity of the traveller community need to be cherished and valued. One of the main characteristics of Irish travellers is their nomadic lifestyle, and this was particularly the case until the 1950s and the 1960s. Until then, many earned a living from repairing and making household utensils, which were usually made from tin. The rapid rate of new technologies, the use of plastic and other cheap goods brought about a major change in the travellers' lifestyles. But the Commission on Itinerancy, the report of 1963, also had a huge bearing on the lives of travellers in this state. The report established policy on travellers for the following 20 years. It's one of the most shameful reports in the history of this state. And if Choctaw want an insight into its agenda or views, they need to look at the terms of reference for the Commission. They were to inquire into the problem arising from the presence in the country of itinerants in considerable numbers, to examine the economic, educational, health and social problems inherent in their way of life, and to promote their absorption into the general community. And these terms were dripping in racism and elitism. They were ignorant, stupid and ill-informed. So it's little wonder, after decades of discrimination and demonisation, there is a sense of demoralisation, low self-worth and inferiority among some in the traveller community. The prejudice and discrimination many travellers face has worsened in recent years. We need to look only to the opposition to a temporary halting site for those bereaved in the fire in late 2015 as an example, or the treatment of travellers in my own constituency who were evicted from a halting site in Dundalk this time last year. There's that sense of a much wider institutional discrimination faced by members of the travelling community in areas like health and education provision, and that's been a hallmark of relationships between settled people and travellers. And that relationship has been blighted by suspicion, resentment, animosity, based on false perceptions and fears. A lot of it based on ignorance. And ignorance breeds fear. And the only cure for ignorance is knowledge. and that comes from education and engagement. The proclamation of 1916 should be the mission statement of a modern Irish Republic. It addresses itself to Irish men and Irish women. It doesn't say, unless you're a member of the traveller community. All of us have rights. That includes the right to receive equal service in shops and pubs, the right to access education, health services, work, the right to accommodation on the basis of equality. And every Irish citizen should enjoy the rights and entitlements that comes with that citizenship. And regrettably, that has not been the case for our traveller brothers and sisters. The traveller child born today faces a life in which he or she will be part of the most socially disadvantaged group in Irish society. The child will leave school earlier, have little prospect of work, will suffer ill health and poverty, and will die younger. He or she will endure substandard living conditions. Many will have no access to basic facilities such as sanitation, water and electricity. They will face discrimination in employment, and most will never work. Cutbacks in education, health and other services have impacted severely on the traveller community. The suicide rate for traveller women is 6 times that of the settled community. It's 7 times higher for traveller men. And at the root of these problems are the unacceptable levels of prejudice, discrimination and social exclusion experienced by travellers at institutional and other levels. And that has to be combated, and it can be combated. Alongside tonight's recognition of traveller ethnicity, there needs to be a process established to improve relations between the settled and traveller communities. Sinn Féin have called in the past for the establishment of a national forum across the island of Ireland involving travellers and the settled community, including representatives of all political parties, of government, local authorities, health and education sectors, and representatives of media organisations to plan a way ahead. And I repeat that call this evening. Such a forum could discuss openly and in detail how discrimination and prejudice against travellers can be confronted, including prejudicial attitudes facilitated by the actions of some politicians and media outlets. Despite the decades of discrimination, the traveller community are a proud people. They are a resilient people, and I want to acknowledge in particular the huge contribution and influence on Irish traditional music by Irish traveller families, particularly Indian pipers and fiddlers. In their excellent book, Free Spirits, Tommy Fagan and Oliver O'Connell make the point that Ireland and Irish culture is richer because of the music and the songs of the traveller community. They say, wherever Irish music is played, wherever Irish songs are sung, wherever Irish stories are told, and wherever Irish dances are performed, the influences of the Dorans, the Keenans, the Furies, the Duns, the Dohertys and the great traveller and musical families will be very much in evidence. And can we add to that Maggie Barry and the Packard Dunn? And Christy Moore has consistently paid a tribute to John Riley, who kept alive songs like the Well Below the Valley, which have been sung for 200 years. That's the traveller community that I know. Creative, strong, resilient, generous. In the summer of '69, when sectarian evictions were incited in reaction in the North to the demands of the civil rights movement, I was one of a small group of activists who helped families to move their belongings from their homes. It should be noted that it was people from the traveller community in Belfast who provided and drove the lorries at great risk to themselves, which took these families out of danger. Among the travellers today, there is an articulate, grassroots leadership well able to voice traveller issues and who have consistently raised our community's awareness of their rights. Some of them are in the gallery, and I know that they are up for the challenge of ensuring that all of us together remove lingering issues, ensure our society embraces differences that make up the diversity and uniqueness of the people of our island. And through strong and resolute leadership like that which was shown tonight, and cooperation at all levels in political and civic society and in our settled and traveller communities, we can ensure a society that underpins equality for every citizen. This is a major step in the right direction tonight. We need to keep moving in that direction. It's a hugely historic moment for the 40,000 members of our traveller community. It's an important symbolic acknowledgement, but it must also pave the way for real, practical change. Action must follow ethnicity. Go Romila Margaret.
Deputy Joan Burton, you 10 minutes.